Good afternoon. It's the Pit Stop. It's a weekly show where we look back at IndyCar and we look basically at the IndyCar and NASCAR series. We'll look back at last weekend and we'll look ahead to this weekend in racing and get you all the news around the sports as well. Now we focus on IndyCar and NASCAR. We do talk other stuff from time to time out there as well. And if you want to see us cover another series, just let us know. You can look into that as well and get that into the show. Of course, you can watch the show on demand on YouTube. Just go to TME Media AZ is where you can find us there. You can search the Pit Stop. It'll come right up for you as well, the Pit Stop with Steven. You can also find us over on Rumble for those of you that prefer Rumble over YouTube. Rumble.com/user/TME Media. All of our programming is over on Rumble as well on demand. Or you can listen, like a lot of you do out there on your favorite podcast system, Apple, Google, Spotify, Podchaser, iHeart. Forgetting a couple there, but if you just search the Pit Stop with Steven, like and subscribe that page. You don't have to search for it every time. It'll come right up. Or the Pit Stop Talk is where you can find it as well on your favorite podcast system, Podbean as well. Follow us on X. The Pit Stop Talk is where you can find us there. But also, don't forget, follow our parent company, TME Media AZ, on X as well. Kind of tells you what we're doing with shows and what's coming up for you as well. And, hey, this weekend, IndyCar, well, it's off coming up. They get a break here. They don't return till August 9th, I believe is what it is, as well. NASCAR, all three series in the NASCAR series are in Indianapolis, although the Truck Series on a different track, a different oval track than the O'Reilly and the Cup Series is coming up this weekend. And of course, O'Reilly's series off last weekend at North Wilkesboro. And before we can look ahead, we have to look back at last weekend. And IndyCar, well, interesting by the decision by them that kind of backfired. It was delayed until Monday over there in Nashville. NASCAR Truck and Cup Series were both at North Wilkesboro for a points race in the Cup Series as well. So let's get into it and look into last weekend. Now, the IndyCar Series, interesting weekend for them, and it backfired galore from what they were trying to do. They swung big. It didn't work out for them. Well, we're talking about that in Nashville. Well, what they did was they had this race. Nashville was normally the IndyCar season finale race, and it's a pretty fun racetrack to race at, to be honest with you. It's great for a finale. Well, this year, with the World Cup happening, they moved Nashville up to this Sunday, and so they made that strategic decision. So now they're going to finish the IndyCar season at Seneca coming up at the end of this year. So they made that decision. And then they put it in the spot so IndyCar could follow the World Cup final that happened on Fox on Sunday. They wanted to get kind of the ratings and the follow-up and eyeballs after the World Cup final of people not changing their channels, right? That was the whole momentum to move. Well, the World Cup went into extra time. Here, 30 minutes extra time, which, of course, delayed the race. They came on and they put on their social media. We're delaying the race till I believe it was like 3:15 or 3:30 Eastern time is when they would start that race at that point. But then the World Cup does get wrapped up. Spain won that, of course. Well, at that time, rain was moving into the Nashville area. Yeah. Ended up happening. So much rain happened that in the IndyCar, they missed that window and they had to move the race to Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noontime out here on the West Coast. Interesting, when they moved to Monday, some local affiliates didn't even show the race on Monday. They just bypassed that altogether, including Cincinnati, which is one of the bigger IndyCar markets out there. They didn't even show the race. Well, the audience they wanted after that World Cup final obviously didn't translate into Monday. It just wasn't there. They swung big, and it did not work out for IndyCar. It's very disappointing how it went. Then, on Monday, they shortened the race by, I think, about 75 laps is what it was, all due to the heat that the drivers would be out there and the pit crews would be experiencing there in Nashville in the middle of the day, in the middle of summer. All of that happened, and we haven't even got to the race yet here on the IndyCar side. It's just utterly disappointing with what they tried to do for it to turn out the way it did. But hey, sometimes things just don't go into your favor. If they would have gone off on Sunday, everybody would be applauding the move and everything. So I get those time frames, but it did turn into a disappointing Nashville race here as well. On a racetrack, by the way, that I enjoy the Indy guys racing on. So I was kind of disappointed in it as well. But let's get all that behind us here and move into that race on Monday as well. And I mean, this was a good race overall, especially right. My pick for the win in Nashville last week. Well, he had a tough practice session on Saturday. 4 laps into Saturday's first practice, David Malakis, he had a loose car. Well, he slammed into the turn 2 wall out there on practice. Not only was his car destroyed, he hurt his right knee as that bore the brunt of the impact into that wall. He hit the steering wheel so hard it knocked the mechanism off of its mount with that crash. This is a practice run, folks. So what did he do? He had to, obviously they had to get the backup car ready, but then he missed qualifying because he had to go to the hospital. He was getting his knee looked at the local hospital, so he misses qualifying. Tough start to the race there. He gets cleared to race on Sunday as well. No, actually Monday, I should say. He gets cleared to race. And then as the race began, David Malakis, he went from last place. He went all the way up to 3rd on the Nashville Oval, finished 3rd in this race. And fantastic run for him. I had him winning this race, and he would have run it if it wasn't for all of that stuff. Well, the 2 guys that finished ahead of him, well, they're 2 prominent names on the IndyCar circuit. No embarrassment finishing in 3rd behind Alex Palou, who, of course, got the victory in the race. And then Josef Newsgarden, who is the best oval racer on the circuit, most points this year on the ovals in the IndyCar circuit. So, heck of a run there from last place with the injury in practice, missed qualifying, starts the race last place, gets up to 3rd. I know moral victories aren't out there, but I feel like I made the right pick and almost worked out for him as well. He was competing for that win there as well, and even though finishing in that 3rd spot. With Alex Palou winning this race, well, it was the 150th IndyCar Series victory for Chip Ganassi Racing. Palou also celebrated his victory with a replica of the World Cup and the Spanish flag on his car. Well, why? Well, he's a Spanish native, or Spain native, I should say. And of course, Spain won the World Cup on Sunday at that race. I say noon our time is when it was out here on the West Coast. Spain won the World Cup. Spain wins the IndyCar race at Nashville as well there on a Monday. Alex Palou moves closer to the championship with this win in Nashville. There was some hope somebody would compete with him, but it's going to be difficult now, and we'll look at that here coming up. It was Alex's 5th victory of the season, 24th career victory for him as well. Palou did start 4th. He led the last 95 laps of the 225-lap race. Yeah, and kind of won it convincingly there at the end as well. Here's the last lap. Indy won.
Over the line. 4 corners and 1 lap.
Okay, last lap.
Stand between Alex Palou and a 5th victory in 2026. Well, we had to wait for it. But what a race we've been treated to here at the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix. Alex Palou returns to the top step of the podium and victory lane with his 5th win of 2026.
Listen to these stats coming up.
Let's go, baby!
Great win, everybody. Great drive, Alex. Awesome.
It's his 3rd career oval win. It's his 1st here in Nashville, his 24th win overall. And the day after Spain win the World Cup final, their countryman Alex Palou, who celebrated that success yesterday, takes victory and returns Spain to victorious ways.
Got it, wax poetic right there with that ending there. That's why I left that in there. But you hear that 3rd overall win for his career. When a guy that dominates your race, series in IndyCar, when he dominates it on the road courses and ends up winning championships in runaway fashion, and he's going to start getting good on the ovals as well, just pencil him in for championships every year here. I know it's only 3 oval wins for him, but he's getting better on them out there as well, folks, for Alex Palou. here on the IndyCar circuit. Let's throw up the finishing order here of this race. This, of course, will be Indy 2 for us here. Let's check it out. We do the top 15 of the racetrack here, and it's pretty interesting. Alex Palou, of course, in the first spot. Josef Newgarden in second. I already told you that. But Team Penske has 2, 3, and 4 spots out there. David Malakis, from last to first, led 59 laps in this race as well. For him, finishes third on that podium. He is so close to getting a victory. David Malakis, it's just podium. Yeah, let's get him up there into that first spot here coming up. Scott McLaughlin, Team Penske, also there in the 4th spot. Felix Rosenqvist, of course, with Meyer Shank coming up so far this year, moving to Arrow next year. Felix Rosenqvist there in the 5th spot as well. Marcus Ericsson, Pato O'Ward in his 7th place finish, who with Arrow McLaren as well. Mick Schumacher, his first ever top 10 finish for Rahal Letterman Racing. Kyphon Simpson there in 9th. Kyle Cookwood finishes 10th here in this race as well. Then you got Nolan Siegel, Rimus VK there in the 12th spot. Santino Ferrucci, friend of the program, with his AJ Fort Enterprises car, finishing 13th here in this race. Romain Grosjean there in 14th, and then Stingray Bob finishing in the 5th place spot for him as well. There's some big names I haven't even mentioned here, right? Christian Lundgaard's had some success lately. He ended up finishing 16th in this race as well. Scott Dixon, 18th for him as well. Graham Rahal in 19th. Will Power, 20th spot for him in this race with that new team he's on this year, Andretti Global. Had some success here lately, but another disappointing finish for them out there as well. Alexander Rossi ended up finishing 23rd in this race as well for the IndyCar Series. So what does that mean? Alex Palou gets the win. He's already been in first place, right, ever since he dropped down to second after Phoenix earlier this year. Easily got back into that first place spot within a couple weeks. Been dominant up there. What does this win mean for him? Let's throw up the championship points here. Indy 3 if we can. And folks, here's what it means. It means Alex Palou is probably going to be your series champion again. He's moved those points up there to, 80 points, 80-something points there, lead over David Malakis here in that second place spot with 374 points. Kyle Cookwood, well, he's in third, and then Christian Lundgaard maintains that 4th spot. Pato O'Ward, I'm just convinced he's just stuck in that 5th place spot, and it is an 83-point lead for Alex Palou as well. Then why is that significant? With was that 6 races to go roughly? Well, 83 points is a gap that is more than a race's worth of points. So which means you're going to need at least 2 races to break down and beat and catch Alex Palou at this point. 1 race will not get you there. That is a significant buffer for Alex Palou there in that number 1 spot as well. We do have some IndyCar news coming up later in the show when we look at news as well. And then next up, well, a little break. And then August 9th, IndyCar returns to the road course up there at Portland coming up on August 9th. We'll obviously look forward to that here as we get closer to that race. But we got to go to the NASCAR series. Of course, NASCAR Truck Series, second weekend in a row. I love these Saturday morning races with the NASCAR Truck Series. We go back to Fridays this week. These are just fun standalone races here for the Truck Series on Saturday morning. And it's a lot of fun. I enjoy watching it when they get their own times out there. And at North Wilkesboro, things change in a year, right, for the Truck Series. Just a year ago, 1 year ago, Chandler Smith, he led 1 lap when he won the Truck Series, and he won that over his teammate Lane Riggs last year. Just 1 lap winning wins the race. Well, if you watch this race or don't know about it, yeah, it's a little different this year. Chandler Smith led the final 105 laps to get his victory over Lane Riggs again at North Wilkesboro. Chandler Smith got better, folks, at North Wilkesboro over last year. Chandler Smith beat Lane Riggs to the finish line by 8.479 seconds. Over 8 seconds to win this race for him. The record margin on a short track in the Truck Series history as well. How big of a gap was it? Well, let's look at the final lap. Truck 1.
White flag in the air, 1 to go at North Wilkesboro. Into 1 and 2, the 38 of Chandler Smith. Won on this track in 2025 as he heads down the backstretch. And Chandler Smith for Front Row Motorsports out of 4 is going to take the checkered flag for the 2nd straight year at North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Dominating end of the race for Chandler Smith. I saw Lane Riggs afterwards kind of talking about it. He goes, we just needed a caution to have a chance. Would have liked to have a restart against him, and he just couldn't get it out there. Chandler Smith, impressive. Keep in mind, Truck Series is going to another short track here this weekend. And Chandler Smith dominating there at that short track. Have to see how that correlates into this weekend. And we'll talk about that coming up when we look ahead, of course. Now let's look at the finishing order of this race here. Truck 2 for me, if you would. And interesting here, right? From the perspective on the Truck Series. Chandler Smith 1, Lane Riggs 2. Look at this. Number 3 spot, Shane Van Gisbergen, folks. Right there in that 3rd spot, Christian Eckes in 4th. Landon Lewis there in the 5th spot for him as well. Carson Hocevar, well, if you watch this race, he led 74 laps, and then he had contact damage. He ended up with a cut tire, ended his good start to the day. He finished in 27th place in this, 2 laps down for him after a great start. As I show you here, as you see on your screen, SVG finished 3rd, his best NASCAR National Series finish on an oval track. Keep that in mind as we go to the Cup Series here in just a little bit as well. This race ran without a caution in the final 99 laps, and that was where Lane Riggs was just needed a caution to get back caught up to him and try to pass him there on a restart. It just didn't happen out there. Christian Eckes was, as I said, in the 4th spot, Landon Lewis in the 5th, to repeat myself. Giovanni Ruggiero there in the 6th spot. For them, Chase Elliott came down into the Truck Series and finished 7th in this race. Carson Hocevar's, I believe his tire damage was with Lane Riggs, by the way, if I remember correctly. For him, Stuart Friesen finished in 8th, Corey Hyman 9th. Ty Majeski finished 10th here in this race. My favorite driver on this circuit, Caden Honeycutt, well, 11th place for him in this race. Tyler Reef here in 12th. Jake Garcia in 13th, Ben Rhodes in 14th, Christopher Bell coming down from the Cup Series coming in at 15th on this track as well. So like I said, there's some big names we haven't even mentioned yet, right? Tyler Ankrum finished 19th in this race, Tanner Gray in 18th as well. Grant Effinger, right? Big race, big win last week, or 2 weeks ago now. He finished 25th here in this race for him. Coming back to Ryan Newman, by the way, came back and raced in the Truck Series after, retirement and came back. Well, wasn't a great race for him, right? Finishing 24th for Ryan Newman coming back into the trucks. We told you Carson Hocevar dominated this race at the beginning, ends up 27th here as well. So some big names having some struggles here on the short racetrack. What does that mean for this weekend coming up as well? Throw up the championship points for me here in the Truck Series. Truck 3, 3 races left until the chase. Limited opportunities here to get into this top 10 if you're in the Truck Series. Lane Riggs, Caden Honeycutt already advancing. Nothing. Now it's just their positioning moving forward for them. Chandler Smith with a big bump with that win, moving to that 3rd spot or being in that 3rd spot. Christian Eckes, Gio Ruggiero, both 100 points plus up over the competition. They will be advancing to the chase as well unless something disastrous happens for them as well. Ty Majeski won his first stage of the year in this race as well. I believe it was the 2nd stage. He's there in that 6th spot. Ben Rhodes in the 7th spot. Daniel Hemrick. And then Grant Effinger, well, he's in that 9th spot. Stuart Friesen in that 10th spot. And look at this, folks. We have a battle here for these last couple playoff spots. 64 points for Ty Majeski should make the chase with 3 races remaining. Ben Rhodes getting a little warmer, but should be still comfortable moving forward. Daniel Hemrick needs to make sure he continues racing well for him. But then you got the 9th, 10th spots there in competition with the guys outside looking in. That's right, folks. Tyler Ankrum and Stuart Friesen tied at 0 right now. Stuart Friesen gets the tiebreaker spot there inside the bubble in that 10 spot. Tyler Rankin right now on the outside looking in. Jake Garcia, well, he's in this battle, 11 points out. You can make that up without blinking. He's in the 12th spot right now. Brendan Green, Andres Perez Delor, they have some work to do, but it's possible they could get up in there as well, along with Justin Haley needing a lot more work from that side. So you basically have, I'm going to say the last 3 spots in the bubble are competitive here for these last 3 races. And then you're looking at 3, maybe 4 guys on the outside looking in, looking to swap that out here. It's going to be fascinating end of this run here with 3 races remaining in the Truck Series. What's up next? Well, this weekend, they're going to Indianapolis as well, the Truck Series is, but they race at Lucas Oil Raceway this weekend. Short track again for them. They're not racing on the big boy track, the 2.5 miler that the O'Reilly and Cup Series are racing at. So another short track coming up. We'll look more up ahead to this week's racing here coming up in Indianapolis on that small track here coming up on the Cup Series. Then we go to the Sunday race here, and that would bring us the Cup Series. I was 1 week off with my winner here. Last week at North Wilkesboro, North Wilkesboro, the race before that, I said Joey Logano was going to get that win. Yeah, he did. I was a week off because Joey Logano finally got back into victory lane. And he does so. He won the All-Star race here, I believe in 23 or 24. He gets the point series race here the last weekend. He led a single race career best 323 laps of this race. Logano crossed the finish line 0.859 seconds ahead of Denny Hamlin, who was the All-Star winner last year as well. And Joey Logano, his first time in the victory lane since May 2025, when he won at Texas Motor Speedway. Finally gets back into the victory lane. Logano's win gives him 38th Cup victory of his career. That's the 23rd most of all time. Let's check out that final lap here of the race. Cup 1.
1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. Logano through turns 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway for the final time. Legends built this place, and a 3-time champion is going to win here tonight. Joey Logano, first career victory of the season, comes in North Wilkesboro.
Yeah! Hell yeah! Good car. What a car. Good job, Paul. Good job, team.
I mean, 323 laps led in this race for him going into it. Absolutely dominating fashion for him as well at that point. The closest guy to him led 47 laps, and that would be Ty Gibbs at that point. Next to him there, I'm sorry, I apologize. Shane Van Gisbergen led 49, and we'll have a little fun with Shane SVG here coming up. He had 49. Ty Gibbs had 47 laps led in this race. Everybody else, single digits for them as well. And look, folks, we do this all the time. When you find victory lane after a long drought, May of 25, well, we're going to go to you after the race, especially when it's been a long drought and you're a championship driver as well. Well, here's Logano after the race, Cup 2.
That sounds great. A win anywhere at this point would have sounded great, but coming here to North Wilkesboro is awesome. I picked up a passenger on the backstretch. We had some fun together, but what a great car. Paul Wolf, what a great car he put together for us today, and just was able to execute a smooth race. Everyone on pit road did a good job. Engine at Roush Yates was good, and I guess it just feels good to get back in victory lane. It's been a tough year, so getting to show up Penzo Mustang, doing some big smoky donuts around his place felt really good.
Joey, you've led over 300 laps in the All-Star events here, more than 300 laps tonight. How do you explain the magic that happens when you get in this 22 car here at this track?
I just think it's something that clicks for us. You know, Paul put together a good car, and I feel like I know exactly what I need to go fast around this place, and he's able to give it to me. So that's, you know, I knew coming this weekend, so we got to capitalize on the points. You know, a win was great, but we really need the points, and so really capitalize on those tonight.
Yeah, 73 points pickup there for Joey Logano. Maxed out his points here in that race as well. We'll look at the championship points here coming up. But first, the finishing order of this race in North Wilkesboro. This will be Cups 3, if you would, gentlemen. So Joey Logano in first place there. Denny Hamlin comes in second. as I said, just dominating fashion by Joey Logano here. Chase Briscoe in third place, Ty Gibbs in fourth. SVG, he needs a lot of these oval runs in order to qualify for the playoffs and stay on the positive side, and he's going to get it, right, if he's racing in the fifth spot here. Bubba Wallace ended up sixth in this race. Brad Keselowski in seventh. Todd Gilliland in eighth. And that's important for the in-season tournament that he's still alive in. Daniel Suarez in ninth. Ryan Preece gets his top 10 finish at that point for him as well. Ryan Blaney finishes 11th after winning the race last weekend, or the previous weekend out there. William Byron in 12th. Carson Hocefer in 13th. Kyle Larson 15th there. Austin Cindric was 14th, but Kyle Larson ends up in 15th place there. Chase Elliott for big name guys, 17th for him. Christopher Bell 19th at this short track as well. And then you go down toward the bottom here, right? Ross Chastain's nightmare season with Trackhouse continues for him. He finished 27th in this race as well. Tyler Reddick, 30th, got in a little bit of an accident. Ran into exchanging some pit road stuff. Tyler Reddick continues to struggle here as the season's gone on with that 30th place finish for him as well. As we I don't know how to explain what's happening to that Tyler Reddick team as well after that unbelievable start. Throw up the championship points for me here. Cup 4, if you will. Denny Hamlin chased the spot, or challenged the spot. Tyler Reddick as a clinched the spot as well. Yeah, that's a new name here, is clinched as well. Ryan Blaney clinches his spot into the chase in that third position right now. Those positions can change, but they've clinched the chase spots moving forward with 5 races to go for the Cup Series so far. That's 73-point day as I jump ahead here. 73-point day gets Joey Logano from outside looking in to that 15th spot. 49 points up on that 15th spot right now for Logano. That's what that weekend did for him there as well. Then you got Shane Van Gisbergen, right? He maintained that presence in the top 10 for the entire race. He actually led 49 laps in this race, second most, as I told you, to Logano out there. Ended up in that 5th place spot out there. So big run for him. Well, Shane Van Gisbergen in that 14th spot, 54 points inside that bubble as well. So, we're getting to 5 races left, and guys can make moves. Obviously, you saw Joey Logano, 73 points, pumped him back up into that. So if you look at this here, right, Michael McDowell's in that 20th spot, 83 points outside. It's going to take him he'd need a perfect race, and he'd need a couple races do so to get back into that bubble. Brad Keselowski's pushing that envelope as well, where it's going to be hard for him to qualify. Same thing with Ryan Preece at 48. The question I got here is can Eric Jones make up those 33 points on Austin Cindric and get into the playoffs? I think it's going to be a challenge for him to do so, but the Cup Series, in my eyes, is basically set here going into the playoffs here and into the chase in 5 races. We'll see if Eric Jones can do it with Austin Cindric drop. Does Joey Logano's struggles continue? Does he drop back down as well? With those 5 races to go, something to watch for coming up as well. And folks, before I talk about this segment, I have to warn you, we did not bleep it out here, right? We have the luxury of not having a tower or the ability to do so on the internet. There is an F-bomb coming here in this next clip, but this is kind of a funny video. So if you don't like it, you can just skip ahead once the video plays about 15 seconds and you'll miss it. But SVG in this race, he's playing for the playoffs. He's trying to get better on these ovals. Led 49 laps in this race. Doesn't get into the lead on the ovals very often. Well, he gets into the lead here during this race. So again, warning, an F-bomb is coming from SVG. But it's kind of a comical video, so get ready to skip ahead if you don't want to hear it. Or have kids in the car or something like that. Cup 5, here's SVG taking the lead, folks.
Still there, corner, still there, corner, still there. Clear,
That's
clear,
his
clear.
spotter.
After the top now. Bleeding. What the fuck do I do now? I don't know. Go straight.
I think that's just an amazing. Just shows you how he's running inside of a car to be able to choke around like that. have some fun with getting the lead on an oval, sustaining it for 49 laps. I think that's absolutely hysterical out there. And again, I warned you about the language there and everything going forward. I tried beeping it out and it just didn't have the same effect, I didn't think. So I apologize if you don't like that, but that leaves us with the in-season tournament here as well. Throw up the in-season one, or the in-season bracket, I should see, which is in season one. It was Todd Gilliland versus Chase Elliott. It was Christopher Bell and Ryan Blaney in this race. And folks, Todd Gilliland continues his in-season run. Well, we'll say improbable in-season run for him, right? He just beat Chase Elliott here in this race as well. Well, he had an 8th place finish here in this race in North of Wilkesboro. Chase Elliott finished 17th. What happened to Chase Elliott? He got caught up in that Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman contact on lap 183. He ended up two laps down as this race continued. Chase Elliott eliminated from that $1 million chance here in that in-season challenge. Then you got Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell battling it out. I thought this would be a fantastic battle. Ended up, well, kind of being fantastic because when was the last time you saw two drivers laps down battling it out? Ryan Blaney finished 11th in this race and 2 laps down. Yeah, he had a speeding penalty here late in the race, which caused him to go a couple laps down. But he did finish ahead of Christopher Bell. 2 laps down and you finished ahead of somebody? Well, Christopher Bell was a victim of that 183 caution, lap 183 with Alex Bowman and Tyler Reddick. It was the whole going into the pits, not going to the pit situation. Well, Christopher Bell was actually 3 laps down in this race as well. So Ryan Blaney moves along with Todd Gilliland, all battling it out this weekend for a $1 million prize here coming up here at Indianapolis this weekend. This is going to be kind of fun to watch. Look, the type of track we're going to, Ryan Blaney is going to have a cool $1 million in his pocket coming up this weekend. Barring catastrophe happening for Ryan Blaney coming up is kind of what you got to think about in this in-season tournament. One thing I liked about last year's in-season tournament, even though Ty Gibbs was in the final, he's on a big team, right? You can reward teams like Todd Gilliland's team with money that they desperately need to compete on this series. That's why I like to see those guys in this battle. It's just going up against this Indianapolis Speedway course. It would be tough for that to happen. Hey, the ratings for the Cup Series in North Wilkesboro, TNT Sports, well, they drew 2.4 million viewers for that Sunday's race. It's the first, points-paying Cup Series at the track since 1996. It was all-star races for 3 years before that. So how does that compare? That's kind of the question, right, that we got to look at, because 2.4 million viewers for a points race. Well, the all-star races the last 3 years, 1.965 million viewers on Fox Sports in 2025, 2.573 million in 2024, 2.2 million in 2023 as well. So it's in line with the all-star numbers the last 2 years. Well, last 24 and 23. It's in line with those numbers as a all-star race side of things. That does kind of fascinate me a little bit. The North Wilkesboro is a fun race. Now, 23 makes sense. The first year there, they kind of revitalized that track. They made more improvements to it in 24, so that makes sense as well. A lot of history there as they brought racing back. But those short tracks, man, they bring the numbers in as well. Next up for the Cup Series, well, of course, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Oval. 2.5-mile oval, no less. We'll look ahead to that later in the show. But first, well, you got to take a break here. And when we come back here at the pit stop, we'll look at the news around racing. We'll look ahead to this weekend's NASCAR racing in Indianapolis. Indy cars off. Just focus on the Indianapolis area with all 3 NASCAR series. Come on back, folks. back here at the pit stop. Welcome back, folks. I appreciate you joining me every week. We usually have the show up on Wednesdays before 2 o'clock on demand as well. And of course, the pit stop, we're the weekly show where we look at the IndyCar and the NASCAR series. We just got done looking back at last weekend's racing. IndyCar there at Nashville, which overall was a disaster for what they were trying to do. Talked about that earlier. Then, of course, North Wilkesboro on the NASCAR truck and cup size. Well, now after the news I got coming up, we'll look ahead this weekend. No IndyCar this weekend. Racing in Indianapolis area for the NASCAR series as well. You can watch the show on demand on YouTube at TME Media AZ. You can watch on Rumble for those of you that like Rumble out there. All of our programming is on Rumble. On YouTube, we're missing a show called The Real Matrix. Not on YouTube, it's over on Rumble. So we put everything up there as well. If you prefer Rumble, just go to rumble.com/user/TME Media. Or for those of you that prefer listening to your favorite shows, well, go on your favorite podcast system, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart, Podchaser, all of them. You can find us there. Just search The Pit Stop with Steven or The Pit Stop Talk. It'll come right up for you as well. Don't forget to follow us on X, The Pit Stop Talk. We communicate on there. We'd love you to join the conversation around racing as well. And, of course, follow our parent company, TME Media AZ, which is, where you can find our programming on YouTube. Follow that on X as well out there. And that just gives you an idea what we do around here, show updates, show notices, etc. They're on the TME Media pages. So follow us on X. All of the shows, except for McCollum on Business and The Real Matrix, have the social media presence there on X. So search those shows out and follow them out there as well. So IndyCar is off this weekend, as I told you. All three NASCAR series are in the Indianapolis area this weekend. The Truck Series is racing at Lucas Oil Raceway, that famed NHRA track, or drag strip there, I should say, in Indianapolis in the Lucas Oil Raceway. But the O'Reilly and Cup Series, well, O'Reilly Series comes off that off week. And the Cup Series, both of them race at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway in that 2.5-mile oval. But before we can look ahead, we got to look at the news around racing. Let's get into that as well. On the IndyCar side of things, Dreyer and Reinbold Racing, DRR, if you're more familiar with that, they announced their purchased a charter from Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, and they actually have plans to return to full-time IndyCar Series competition coming up in 2027. They always race in the Indy 500 like they did this year, but not the rest of the season. So buying that charter means coming back into racing for that DRR team. Now, right, they got to sign a driver, get the facilities up and running and all of that stuff. In NASCAR circles, Taylor Gray, well, they announced that he's going to return to the Joe Gibbs Racing number 54 car in 2027 in the Xfinity Series out there. Taylor Gray continuing his ride there with Joe Gibbs Racing. And then Front Row Motorsports General Manager Jerry Freese, he said the organization expects Noah Gragson to remain with the team beyond this season. Now, he said all this, on SiriusXM NASCAR earlier this week. And he said, quote, "We want Noah back at Front Row, and I feel pretty good about it. We're working through the last details in his agreement, so I feel pretty good about it. I'd like for something out of us in a few weeks on that," is what he said. He'll look for something, is what he said. I'll tell you this. They're not announcing that there's a possibility he's coming back unless that deal is pretty much bowed up. These drivers can leave at the blink of an eye for better deals for another team out there. So that's probably going to happen while they're working out the remained parts of those deals. Right? And we talked about this in the Truck Series races when we were looking back last week. And that's Lane Riggs dominating the Truck Series this year. And he's got a lot of questions, like increasing speculation as the weeks go on, about what his plans are for next year. Can he get up into a potential NASCAR Cup Series? Can he move up into that, potentially move up to the NASCAR Cup Series for next year? Well, he's leading that crap in Truck Series, and we know, right, Corey Heim moved up part-time this year. He gets a full-time ride next year. But he did say no decision has been made, according to Lane Riggs. And NASCAR's offseason will keep progressing. Of course, we're about to get into real silly season here coming up. And he's with Front Row Motorsports right now as well. And what did we just announce? Noah Gragson's expected to go back to Front Row Motorsports. So one spot missing there with that team that he's with, at least, as well. But Lane Riggs said he's awaiting the evolving driver market to free out before deciding on his next career step. This is his exact quote. I'd like to know my plans too. I'm not sure either, actually. We don't have any plans yet. Right now, we're just seeing how the early silly season plays out to find out if there's an opportunity for me out there. He said, I'd love to make my first Cup start at some point. This year would be great, but the timeline isn't looking ideal with the cutoff before the playoffs. But he did go on to say, whenever that opportunity comes, I'd love to take it. And Lane Riggs, it's important for these young NASCAR drivers. It's not that you move up to the Cup Series, it's who you move up with. You move up too early with a lower tier team, all that shine gets off of you. And he's going to have a lot of shine in the Cup Series because of the way he's running the Truck Series. So just because a spot opens up, you don't just go grab it. You wait for the good opportunities out there. So it is interesting, the rumors of him moving up, possibly, Lane Riggs, and then Noah Gragson expected to go back to Front Row Motorsports and closing down at least the team in that car there on that side. Keep your eyes open for these young guys. These young guys are getting opportunities, and they're taking full advantage of them. Hey, if you're a big fan of NASCAR content, NASCAR and USA Sports announced the premiere of NASCAR Americana. It's going to be a 3-part limited documentary series inspired by America's 250th birthday. What it's going to do is it's going to explore NASCAR's unique place in the American story. It's executive produced, by the way, by Peyton Manning and his team out there. So it's probably going to be good. They do a lot of excellent sports stuff. It will debut Sunday, August 9th on the USA Network. It's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern or 4 p.m. our time following the NASCAR Cup Series at Iowa Speedway. So mark it down as well. You can look up what the 3 series are going to be, like episode 1, episode 3. You can look all that up by just searching the title of the broadcast here, NASCAR Americana. Looks interesting. I'm looking forward to watching that, actually. Probably have to do a review here on the show as well, as that'll be, right? We're getting closer and closer to the playoffs as well. But enough of that, all that stuff out there. Let's look ahead to NASCAR. In the Indianapolis area this weekend, I have to lean in when I was trying to say that because I knew I was going to struggle with it. Now, the Truck Series, after a couple weekends of racing on Saturdays, well, the Truck Series returns to Friday night racing here this weekend. So Friday night, Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. They are not racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They're up at the famed drag stick where a lot of NHRA races are held and world famous up there as well. There is a road course there, but they're racing the oval. 5 p.m. out here for us in the West Coast, which means 8 p.m. for you Easterners out there. Fox Sports 1, as always, on the Truck Series, gets you the coverage. Practice will be Friday, noon time out here in the West Coast, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Qualifying right after that, 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern, 1:05 out here for those of us on the West Coast. Now, where is this track compared to downtown Indianapolis or Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Well, it's about 10 miles north of downtown Indianapolis. And like I said, if you've seen an NHRA track, you've seen this specific track out there. It is pretty dynamic here and where this oval that they're racing is. So for the Truck Series, the oval is a short track. Again, another one. 0.686 mile racetrack. The race will be 137.2 miles, so about 200 laps is what that equals out to. Not about, it is 200 laps. Now, obviously, Lane Riggs is the favorite to win on a short track oval. He's the best driver in the circuit, and he's raced well, finishing second last week. Now, a distant second. The way Chandler Smith ran last weekend on that North Wilkesboro short oval, well, that means Chandler Smith is definitely in the conversation to get the win as well. Of course, I don't count out Caden Honeycutt at any point in time, even though he did finish, 11th last week. But I'm going to give Caden Honeycutt a chance, and I've toyed with Caden Honeycutt to win this race this weekend. Is there somebody else in this series, Ty Majeski? No, probably not. Is there somebody else in this circuit that can win at a small track? Well, I just can't shake what happened last weekend at North Wilkesboro. I do believe this race will come down to the 3 truck drivers we've mentioned already: Caden Honeycutt, Chandler Smith, and Lane Riggs. I'd be shocked if somebody else gets into this mix. But here's the problem. I cannot shake how well Lane Riggs ran last week and couldn't catch Chandler Smith. Are we going to go another 100 laps with caution free to finish this race? I don't think you do that 2 weeks in a row. So what I'm going to do is just switch it up a little bit. This weekend, I got Lane Riggs winning this race. So probably a late restart where he's got to win the restart to win it is what I'm looking at. I got Chandler Smith being the one that comes in second behind Lane Riggs this weekend. I think it's kind of the opposite what's going to happen. I just don't think we're going to run that many yellow laps. So he's going to be able to run away from somebody, or it's going to be green flag laps. They're not going to run that many. And that's going to allow bunching up, and you're going to have to win some restarts. Lane Riggs has the advantage in that truck series, and I'm going with him this weekend. Then we go across about 10 miles across town there, and we go to Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend for the O'Reilly and Cup Series. If you don't know, you know it. You've seen Indy 500, folks, out there. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is that 2.5-mile asphalt oval track. Iconic as these guys go around it. Endurance, green flag pit stops, it's all going to come into play this weekend, along with how fast are you going to be out there and into these turns and dominating this race. Now, the O'Reilly series are coming off an off week. Who comes in refreshed? Who comes in ready to get to work? And who comes in with some issues fixed is kind of what you've got to look at going into this weekend. The O'Reilly race is on Saturday coming up at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 4 p.m. Eastern time, which means 1 p.m. Pacific, or us here on the West Coast. Of course, CW gets us the O'Reilly race this year. Practice, well, Friday afternoon, 9 a.m. our time here on the West Coast, 12 to 12:50 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. Then they go to qualifying on Saturday before their race. 9:30 a.m. here on the west side of the world, of the United States, I should say. 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. in Eastern time zone. Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott. I even saw Connor Zilic is going to race in this race as well. They're scheduled. Those guys are scheduled to come down and race at the IMS Oval in this O'Reilly series. Now, last year, defending champ Connor Zilic, he won this race, but of course has moved up to the Cup Series now and trying to do his best up there as he learns throughout this season. Now, the O'Reilly series, right? Experience, speed. Well, that means one guy on this circuit, and that's Justin Allgaier. He's won 6 races this year alone. He's dominated the series. You've got some other speed demons on this O'Reilly tracks, though. Just can they hold up for these 2.5 miles? Endurance. Can they get their pit stops in right in terms of strategies? Can they avoid some trouble out there? So those guys I'm thinking of: Jesse Love, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer. Speed is going to be there for these drivers. But do they have the experience to get past Justin Allgaier? Is kind of the way I'm thinking here as well. I'm not sure they do. I think Justin Allgaier is favorite to win this race. But I'm going to surprise you here, folks. With all that experience of Justin Allgaier, that speed that we know he has here, I'm going to go with Jesse Love. Probably a late lap pass. Jesse Love is going to make it happen. He's going to win the O'Reilly race this weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and get a win, a much-needed win for him in terms of just confidence going into the chase coming up. So Jesse Love in the O'Reilly series. And then that wraps up Saturday night. And then we go to the Cup Series on Sunday, also at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 2 p.m. Eastern time, which means 11 a.m. out here on the West Coast. Of course, last race for TNT, folks. I've enjoyed the TNT broadcast. Amazon Prime was by far the best. Fox is by far the worst. TNT, well, we'll have to see what NBC does, but if NBC does what it normally does, it'll go Amazon Prime, TNT, NBC, and then Fox in terms of my ratings out there. last race for TNT before they do hand it off to Fox, or to, excuse me, the NBC. Practice is on Friday, 1 to 1:50 p.m. Eastern Time. It's on True TV. Their practice is here, but 10 a.m. out here for those of us in the Phoenix or West Coast area. Qualifying isn't until Saturday, 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern, also on True TV. 10:30 a.m. for those of us out west here. So, because this is the last TNT race, do we get some sort of excitement out there? Not because of the broadcaster, just that'd be a fitting end to the TNT season as well. You're obviously going to be watching the Ryan Blaney, Todd Gilliland battle on who's going to win that in-season tournament for that $1 million as well. I've already told you my prediction. Ryan Blaney is running away with this weekend unless he just gets into trouble, right? Todd Gilliland just rolls around in the back of the field. Ryan Blaney gets into some trouble, and you just got to pass him by one extra lap to win that $1 million as well. So what kind of excitement can we see on this last TNT broadcast? Well, when you look at history here and who's raced here well, you obviously look at active drivers that have won the pole here at IMS. Now, keep in mind, they've done the road course here a lot of time. Chase Briscoe, Tyler Reddick, and Denny Hamlin, the only drivers active that have won the pole. To win the pole, you have to be fast, folks. Right? Chase Briscoe won it last year. Tyler Reddick in 2024. Denny Hamlin hasn't done it since 2012. Now, he's fast this year. He's running carefree. He's running relaxed. See how Denny Hamlin runs for qualifying. I bet you it's going to be a good number. He might not win the pole, but I bet you it's going to be a good number as well for him. Then you look at who's won this race. Yeah, right. This is the race Bubba Wallace won last year. Kyle Larson won it in 2024, but has been struggling. His last win was last year at Kansas, I believe, as where Kyle Larson won it. He won it in 24. Brad Keselowski won it all the way back in 2018. Those Fords, not this weekend, I don't think, that we'll be facing here as well. This race for me, so limited people here on the ovals. Obviously, they're used to the road course here more so as we've gotten back into the oval these last couple years. But for the Cup Series guys, their strategy, everybody's got good pits. For the most part, they'll struggle, but they're competent pit strategies. This race right here is all about speed. Who's been really fast this year? Has it been the Chevrolets? They've been fast, but not consistent. Has it been the Fords? No, not at all. Folks, I'm leaning toward a Toyota to win this weekend as well, just like Bubba Wallace did last year. The Chevrolets have had issues getting to the end of these big races and being in the front of them. Denny Hamlin, he's the favorite in my eyes. I told you, he's been running really easy, carefree, just out there running around. He can be in the last place and he'll work his way to the front with little complaining and get up there. Everybody else has these little hiccups, right? Can Tyler Reddick get out there this weekend? Terrible weekend last year. Ran into Alex Bowman's car, wrecked out on that short track. He's getting back to his bread and butter of the first part of the season after Daytona on these races. Can he get out there and reclaim his early season mojo and get back into victory lane? There's something mentally with that Tyler Reddick team. I don't know if they're pushing too hard or what, but they're just struggling to get have good finishes here lately. Now, they had second place finish a few weeks ago. I get it, but it's been disturbing watching their fall off this season. I told you Kyle Larson is going to be fast. We know his team's going to be fast in the pits. We know he can drive the car fast. We know his car can compete with the winners. But his struggles this year, you can't pick a Kyle Larson to reclaim his glory here this weekend. The same thing, Chase Elliott, a couple wins already this year earlier. It's just not there on these big tracks. Christopher Bell, very fast. I just don't know if he can be there at the end when you look at the regular guys to win at this race. Can we see a surprise winner this weekend? Maybe a Chase Briscoe, a Ty Gibbs getting a win. Possibly. They have the ability to win at a track like this. It's going to be a surprise, but, long shot for you there as well. And, folks, we talk about this. I went through the list of guys to do this stuff. I was trying to find a reason to not go with this guy. By the way, Chase Briscoe plus 1,200. He's tied with William Byron. Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace in terms of the odds, plus 1,300 for both of them. Ty Gibbs, plus 1,600. Now, can a Carson Hocevar get up here and get that win? Can he do enough damage driving around there and make people mad or wreck people out that he gets that win? We'll have to see if he can do that. Carson Hocevar, by the way, plus 1,800 this weekend for him. So the leaders, I'll tell you this on the odds before I tell you who I'm going with. Denny Hamlin's plus 350. Kyle Larson is plus 650. That's kind of a surprise to me with the way he's been running. Can he win it? Absolutely. But he's overcoming some demons of struggling this year to get to that side. And sometimes overcoming those demons just aren't worth it to me to take a chance on somebody. But Tyler Reddick's second in the favorites. Kyle Larson's second. Tyler Reddick is third there with plus 750. Christopher Bell plus 900. Ryan Blaney plus 1,000. Ryan Blaney's the one Ford that I think can pull out a victory, but I just don't see it happening on this long 2.5 mile oval for him out there. To me, just the way he's been running these long tracks, experience, he's just relaxed this year. He's not pushing. I just can't ignore Denny Hamlin this weekend. It's just you can't. And he's the favorite at plus 350 for a reason going into this IMS race as well. So I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin to get the win this weekend here on the NASCAR circuit as well on the Cup Series. I enjoy them racing the big oval here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, not just because of the history and things to that effect. It's just these big tracks. I love the 1.5 mile ovals. And I love the big 2 mile and 2.5 mile ovals out there. I just love them a lot here. They were just here. This is the Brickyard 400. This is also, a big race. Crown Jewel race here this weekend. Ranks up there with the Coca-Cola 600 in terms of its importance. Drivers want to win this race here in the Cup Series. It just takes them up to a stratosphere level when you win it. So it's going to be somebody who's won before, had some experience, and just add it all up, man. Denny Hamlin is going to get it done at all, right? IndyCar is off until August 9th, as I told you earlier in the show as well. And next week, well, we'll look ahead, of course, and see what is out there with silly season around IndyCar. And then we'll look back at this weekend's racing in the Indianapolis area in NASCAR and look ahead to racing coming up for NASCAR as well, folks. So make sure you join us. Wednesdays is when the show comes out on demand. Follow TME, follow the Pit Stop Talk on X. We post the show when it does come out and is uploaded and ready to go. Share us with your friends, if you will. Follow the podcast, like and subscribe to the YouTube page, the Rumble page, or, of course, the free podcast system. Folks, have a great racing weekend. I'm looking forward to this weekend, more so than I have in the last couple of weeks, even though I loved that race last weekend in North Wilkesboro. It'll be fun in Indianapolis, folks. We'll see you next week. Have a great one.